Hey Run Junkies, it is Friday, September 8th, and I am headed into Roadrunner Sports to pick up my packet and bib for tomorrow's race, the Arvada 10 miler. I was just over at Michael's because I wanted to get a few supplies to see what I can start doing for my Run Disney costumes for Avengers. I have a few ideas and I need to see if some of them work first. So hopefully I have that kind of figured out. But I do have to run into Roadrunner Sports and pick up a couple of things, not just my bib, but also I need some more Noon. I'm almost out of Noon. Also need new insoles for my shoes. I do get the custom molded insoles and they make a big difference. So before I go in there, I want to let you guys know that I actually have a blog up already because I want to tell you about how I felt this week. And so I did, the blog is actually a pre-cap, a race pre-cap, just to kind of let you guys know what some of my struggles have been this week leading up to the race. Most significantly is the smoke in the air from the Northwest wildfires. It has been really bad. As you can see, there's kind of a haze in the air, and unfortunately, I mean, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and it feels like, you know, the day of the eclipse basically. So I am headed into my favorite running store, Roadrunner Sports. I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna have a little bit of fun. Okay, so I'm back in from Roadrunner Sports and it was already kind of busy in there. They had just opened bib pickup for the race tomorrow. I ran into my buddy Darren over there who runs the store. He's the manager of the store, and if you recognize that name, he helped me out when I picked out my new Saucony Guide 10s last year, and when I walked you guys through the process of buying new shoes. Then we get into what came in the, I already folded my bib. It's like the #1 cardinal rule, don't fold your bib. Okay, so this right here is my bib for tomorrow's race, 1782. The t-shirt, the Arvada Harvest Half Marathon 5K 10K 10 miler 2017. This is actually a really nice shirt. I have a few more minutes before I'm meeting Dave for dinner. We've been kind of two ships passing in the night between Veda and his travel and wedding planning and his job and football, and we just haven't had a lot of time to get together. So tonight we are going to enjoy a lovely dinner, early dinner out, because it is only 20 to 5, but I'm hungry and I want to go to bed early. So I haven't done this race before, but I've heard that it's flat and fast. But if you look at the elevation profile, it does not look flat or fast. I decided I wasn't even gonna run today or work out today. I thought I'd better just rest my lungs, rest my legs, and we'll be ready for the race tomorrow. So I'm gonna go have dinner and I will check in with you guys later. Good morning, everyone. It is race day, the Arvada Harvest 10 miler. It is 7 o'clock and I just spent the last 15 minutes trying to figure out where to park. I was not very organized this morning. I did lay out my clothes and my nutrition, water bottles, all that stuff last night. It was slow going getting out of bed this morning. And by the time I realized, you know what, I should probably leave, I still hadn't found, I didn't know where my sunscreen was. Turns out my son was hoarding it in his bathroom. One thing that kind of got to me this morning was I got out of bed this morning, started just kind of, I don't know, talking to myself, which is what I do normally. And I had that kind of Kathleen Turner smoky voice. The air quality yesterday was pretty bad and I spent probably more time outside than I should have. Luckily though, looking at the sky, I can actually see blue sky. We haven't seen blue sky. It's been very gray and smoky, but the air quality is definitely much better. I'm just gonna spend time relaxing into this one and warming up properly, getting that shakeout run done, doing some dynamic warm-ups. I really want to make sure that I'm thinking through and being very deliberate about the start of this race. I feel a sense of relief that I finally got to this race, and I think once it's over, there's gonna be just this huge sigh of relief that it's one less thing that I need to deal with and one less thing I need to worry about. There's a lot of overwhelm happening, and having this off my plate this afternoon will, I think it's just going to just take that weight off me. So that's just how I'm feeling about it right now. I am excited for it. I think it's gonna be a great race. It's a beautiful day for a race, and we'll see you at the finish line. Oh my gosh, you guys, my hands are shaking. I just finished. I'm trying to get this thing. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna go sit down someplace, but I gotta tell you, here's the thing about this 10 miler. So I just finished. My unofficial time, according to my watch, is 1:46:10. I didn't quite make my A goal, according to my clock, and I'm gonna get to that in a second, but I made my B goal. I beat my B goal, which is good. So I officially have a better proof of time than Prairie Dog. So cue major cheering right now. So I'm gonna sit down here for a second. This was a really fun course in a very small race. I ran into a woman who's actually training for the marathon at Walt Disney World. So Jenny, good luck to you. She was using this for proof of time as well. I started out, and I'm glad I set my intervals, my mileage by time and pace, because I would have gone out way too fast. I was still trying to control my pace in the first 5 miles or so. And in the last 2 miles, of course, it's a lot, warmer, and the sun's come up a little bit, and especially in the exposed areas of the course, it was starting to get pretty uncomfortable. I started really feeling the burn, feeling the pain in the last 2 miles. First 5 miles came and went, and I crossed over that halfway mark, and I'm like, oh, I'm halfway down already. The interval changed over, so I set my intervals for the 5 miles. I was going to do a certain pace for the first 5 miles, and then the next 2 miles I was going to speed up a little bit, and the next 2 miles after that speed up a little bit, and then all out for the last mile. Well, that all went according to plan for the first probably 7 or 8 miles. By the time I got to mile 7 and that next click over, I really started to suffer a little bit, but the course was interesting. It's narrow creek path for much of the way, some surface streets, which was fine. But that 7 mile mark, right around the turnaround, so it wasn't an strictly out and back course. It kind of loops through the town of Arvada, and then it goes out onto the creek path. And it's on the creek path that you have a turnaround somewhere around mile 6.5, maybe. So that was fine. I hit the turnaround, and that's when I started to suffer. That's when it really, but at the same time, I had to control my emotions because I felt like I was doing so well, and I was keeping paces so well. And I started imagining the finish line and getting really excited. And I don't know if you ever do this, but you get that kind of overwhelming, like, oh my gosh, this is gonna happen. I feel so awesome, this is gonna be great. But then you still have like 3 miles or many more to go. And I had to talk myself off of that ledge, and I have to say, okay, no, right now you are in this mile. Oh, hey, I love this song. It's Billy Joel. Just run the mile you're in. And so I had to say that to myself until I kind of got myself calmed back down again and relaxed back into a pace. And I did that very well. And I was happy with how I was able to control my pace and emotion for much of this race. So with that being said, there was a water station just after mile 8, and that's when it really started hurting. So this water station is right before an uphill, and for a good chunk of the remainder of the race, it's uphill. It's ever so slight uphill on the creek path, and that's frustrating. But I ended up slowing down rather than speeding up in that last 2 miles. I just muscled through as hard as I could. And I mean, at the time that I was looking at it, I thought, well, okay, I can, if I just slow down here and then speed back up and slow down here and speed back up. So I started walking up some of the hills, and especially the steep ones. I got to the last 0.2 of a mile and the final turnaround, or the final turn to the finish line, and I just let the horses out of the barn and I ran as hard as I could to the finish line. Well, I'm looking at my watch and it's saying, okay, well, you might make 146 or better. You'll definitely beat 147. Well, I'm looking at the race clock, and I started almost, you know, right when the race clock did. The race clock said 145.10.
The 10-miler runners, we're going to have your awards here in just a
and
minute. 10-milers, thanks for running this morning. We're going to let a few more.
So they're announcing 10-mile runners.
10-milers finish. We'll have your awards here in just a bit.
Anyway, I'm very happy with this race. I am happy because no matter which clock you're looking at, I beat my prairie dog time. This is the best race I've had all season. This is the best race, the most controlled, most emotionally responsible, physically responsible race that I have had all season. And so I feel like now, with the expectations or lack thereof that I had going into this race, that I set really good goals and I achieved 2 of them. And it'll be interesting to see what my official time is. So I think if the clock is right, if the race clock is right, then it's 145.10 or 145.20 or something like that, which is huge for me. I'm very happy with that. So with that, I am going to shut this down. I will give you a few more final thoughts after I relax a little bit more. I'm happy. This was a good race. They announced the awards for the 10-mile races, and they went through and they did best overall female, and then they did the 30s, and then they did the 40s. And it's really funny because the first woman in the 40s age range, she came in maybe a minute ahead of me, so I missed the podium by a minute. I think that's the closest I've ever gotten to podium. What I find very funny about that too is that, yes, I almost hit the podium out of 5. There were 5 women in my age group, which I think is kind of funny because out of 5, I came in 4th. My official time is 146.27, which is great. I will probably submit this as a proof of time. What I find interesting though is I don't know that it would make any difference. I actually don't think it will change the corral because the margin is so small between the prairie dog proof of time that I had, only slightly faster. So I don't know if it's gonna make a difference in corral. I'm okay with that though. I'm happy with this race. Again, guys, I'm stoked. And I have to say, I posted a picture on Instagram and Facebook before my race this morning. I am so blessed and so grateful to all of you for all the kudos and thumbs up before I even started. So thank you guys so much. This is a runner's high. This is what a runner's high feels like. So I'm gonna head home and I'm gonna take a nap. I'm tired. My finisher's medal. See that? Look at that. Isn't that pretty? It's not much, but it's cute. I like it. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Get out there, go find your awesome. Until next time, happy running.